Hey everyone. So overstimulation. This is what we're going to be talking about in a couple posts coming this week on what is overstimulation. What can we do as parents, as just human beings, to help control our environment, to help control the stimulation, because overstimulation is a big deal and is impacting impacting a lot of people, particularly our kids. Why? Because they are in this crucial stage of development when their brain is needing this appropriate information to the brain, so the brain can then move through this ideal trajectory of brain development. But we know that when we have too much information or altered input to the brain, that can alter the way that the brain starts to move through this trajectory of brain development. And if we alter the way that the brain moves through development, that can start to create gaps or inefficiencies in the way that the brain, in the way that our kids, the way that maybe even us as adults, because this does impact us, starts to process their world. So things start to become a little more overwhelming. We start to see some challenges. We start to see some struggles. And what are we seeing a whole lot more? We're seeing a lot more challenges and struggles in our kids, particularly, but probably even in ourselves. And 2020 probably really brought out that in a lot of us, in a lot of our kids. If our kids maybe weren't struggling too much, 2020, we probably maybe saw more struggles, more challenges. And there's a reason for that, because there was a whole lot more physical, chemical, and emotional and technological stress in our world in this previous year. So again, when we look at this, we know that the brain moves through a trajectory of brain development. Babies are born with very primitive brains. We process our world primarily in our brain stem through primitive reflexes. Then we move again through that trajectory of movement, touch, so gross motor, fine motor, ocular motor, auditory, verbal, visual, cognition. This is our gift as humans, but we move through there. We aren't born with this, but we need to receive appropriate input for this brain to move through this ideal trajectory of brain development. But if we have too much or altered input from physical, chemical, emotional, and technological stresses, that can start to alter the way that the brain moves through development. It can alter the way that our kids' brains move through this trajectory, so they start to process their world differently. They start to see some of these gaps. They start to see some struggles and challenges, especially when we put too much demand on their brain too early. Okay? So this week, we're going to touch up on some different things that you as parents, as you as humans, just can to incorporate or maybe to eliminate, reduce some of these ways of overstimulation, so that so our brains can start to process our world more efficiently, so our brains don't get so overwhelmed, so our kids don't struggle and have so many challenges, so that us as parents don't get so overwhelmed, and then we flip on our kids, and then it just escalates and we have so much tension. You're not the only one. It happens to me, and I know this information. It's part of living, but it's, again, the more information that we can have, the better that we are able to move through this life and be able to understand what behaviors actually mean, because there's always a reason for behavior. A behavior is a window to the brain. So when we understand that and we understand where our kid is at developmentally, we can better understand, better able to engage with them the way that they process their world, so we can meet them where they're at. So stay tuned this week as we touch up on overstimulation, what you as families can do to help, and what we can do to help you guys along this way and help you guys live your best expression of life. Okay? Have a great day.